On this episode of the Apple Watcher, some Apple Watch SE owners experiencing issues with overheating. Apple Watch ECG feature saves yet another life. Some iPhone 12 and 12 Pro users complaining of scratches on their screen. And don't break that screen, it's going to cost you more to repair it than it used to. And I've switched from a Pro model iPhone to a standard 12. I'll give you my impressions. All this, our picks, tips, and much more. This is episode number 37. Welcome to the Apple Watchers, a podcast covering all things Apple Watch and many things Apple. This episode and every episode is brought to you by me, Kevin Hare, and my co-host, Jonathan Zarko, aka Jay-Z. All right, let's get started. Well, hello. How you doing this evening?
Doing good. You getting excited for spooky time?
Oh, yeah. Sure am. And not very excited about the U.S. elections.
That was the spookiest thing that we're going to have happen. So,
yeah, that's actually spooky for sure. But we won't get into that. We'll hear about it some other time, and I'm sure there's many podcasts covering that.
There's going to be a lot of news about that.
Yeah. Well, you want to start us off with some Apple Watch stories?
Yeah, just a quick thing to mention. So in our last podcast, we talked about a fact that the Apple Watch Series 3 was having some issues where it was just rebooting randomly. The new Watch OS 7.0.3 update has been shown to fix that issue. So if you are encountering that, make sure you update your watch. And also, too, I think that kind of answers some of our questions from before of whether or not this is going to be something like an indication that the 3 was going to be a problem. So looks like it's not.
Cool. Yeah, this goes back about a week from the time of this recording. But if you still haven't updated, yeah, definitely do that if you have a Series 3. Well, moving on to another Apple Watch story. So some Apple Watch SE owners are experiencing issues with overheating when charging. So the Apple Watch SE got hot on the charger and then had burned a patch at the top right corner of the screen. This was shown in the photo of the article. And so they're speculating it could be the connector between the display and the Taptic engine, currently only reported in Korea and US. This looked pretty bad.
Yeah, this is concerning. Not just from like a safety issue, but from an actual destruction of property kind of thing. So hopefully they get this figured out. I wonder if it's faulty materials or if it has something to do with the software.
I don't know.
Anyways, well, moving on, we do have some good news. An Apple Watch ECG feature has saved an indoor resident's life. R. Rajhans felt really unwell and decided to check his ECG app on the Apple Watch Series 5. And to his shock, it showed an atrial fibrillation. He had hypertension, but no history of any other heart conditions. So just to be sure, Rajan used the ECG app again a couple of times and the results came out the same. This prompted him to get a proper diagnosis at the hospital, and the results showed that Rajhan's had low ejection fraction and required immediate heart surgery. So super exciting again to see that, this simple little device has saved another life, and this time over in India. Super cool.
Very cool. Well, moving on. So Apple sets the next Apple Watch Activity Challenge for Veterans Day on November 11th. In order to complete this challenge, you simply have to complete a workout that is 11 minutes or longer. Activity challenges allow Apple Watch users to collect virtual trophies available through the Achievements tab and the Activity app on iOS. There are also special stickers that can be used with messages and FaceTime.
The little stickers are pretty fun, too. They're like little service people that kind of jump around and stuff. I like them.
Cool. Yeah, this will be good. And, relatively easy challenge.
But 11 minutes.
Yeah.
Does that have to do with the fact that it's November 11th? Is the date of Veterans Day?
Yeah, it must be. Must be. But very cool. Very cool way. Just a, little way to honor our veterans and, bring them to notice.
All right. Well, let's take a look at some of these Apple stories too. So this next one is that the repair cost for the iPhone 12 ceramic shield display is going to be higher. The price of the new screen has risen by $80 compared to that of last year's iPhone 11. However, it should be more difficult to break the iPhone 12 screen thanks to the tougher glass. And you are getting more for your money. The iPhone 12's display is a big upgrade over what was packed into the iPhone 11. Not only is it protected by the ceramic hardened glass, but it's now an OLED screen, like that in the iPhone 12 Pro rather than an LCD. Apple will charge you $279 to replace an iPhone 12 display out of warranty, and that's the same price Apple charges for the 12 Pro. It is noting, though, that these prices apply to out-of-warranty repairs. Customers who are covered by Apple Care Plus will still pay the $29. It's not clear what the cost for the mini and the max size screens are going to be, though. Pretty interesting, though, that it went up. It makes sense. I'm curious whether or not the mini will be cheaper, or if in some weird way it'll be more expensive because it's harder to install.
I wonder. You should buy both just to give us some test results.
All right, tell you what, if you also go out and get a regular size iPhone 12 Pro, then I'll go get a regular iPhone, or I'll get a 12 mini and a 12 Pro Max.
Long as I use your Apple card. Yeah, I'm totally cool with that. Yeah, it's interesting. Interesting. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, so don't drop your phone.
So, related to screens, some users complain about screen scratches on their new iPhone 12. The reason is because the softer glass is, the less likely it is to shatter, but the more likely it is to pick up scratches. On the other hand, a hard display may be more immune to scratches, but more fragile when it comes to drops. Comments mention that it's a typical problem with the first batch of phones. Others said it might be from sandwiching phones in stores to compare sizes, like a sapphire camera cover could scratch glass. So,
yeah, this was interesting. They were showing phones. Somebody had gone into like a AT&T store or something and was looking at the actual display phones, and they were already all messed up. And so people were commenting on that article that it might be the fact that some of these earlier ones, for whatever reason, this might be a typical problem, or it actually might just be people comparing sizes and dinging them together. But that doesn't necessarily bode well for, having it in your pocket with other things. Personally, I try to keep my phone in my pocket by itself. Occasionally, it'll run with the AirPod case in there, and I haven't really had any issues. But sounds like getting a screen protector for the front and the back of the phone might be a smart move.
Yeah, if you're running it without a case, for sure, you need one on the back. Now, we didn't mention yet, but we'll be talking about iPhone 12 because I did get one. So I won't talk about it a lot now, but I am paranoid after seeing this article that I could scratch it. So I've been really careful with mine. I did get a screen cover today, but can't install it because we're doing a podcast.
Yeah.
So probably install it tomorrow. But I'm definitely a little scared. But it's hard to tell whether it's just from kind of abuse in stores. I watched a video too where someone claimed that theirs had already got scratched after a few days. But I don't know. You kind of wonder what people are doing too, because I always put my phone in my back pocket. And there's nothing back there like keys or anything like that. So you wonder if people are just sticking them in their front pocket with keys or, whatever.
All it takes is one time for you to absentmindedly put your keys in the same pocket and you're going to get some dings in it if you don't have a cover. So, or a purse, that could be toast.
Oh man. Yeah. I can only imagine,
or even a jacket with like zippers, on pockets and things like that. I've had some too before that you don't realize how often you might be dinging your phone into things.
Oh, yeah. When you're putting it in a pocket with zippers, you might scratch it on the way in or out. Yeah, I would strongly recommend that, use a screen cover. They're relatively cheap on Amazon, that's for sure. So,
this might be a time to go back to the, I used to not run a phone case on my Apple iPhone 5, but instead I had like a pouch that it slid into. It was like a nice little pocket thing. I don't know. Maybe with this one, since it's the similar form factor, I'll go back to see if I can find one of those again.
Well, you're going to need a huge pouch.
Yes. With a lanyard and like a strap.
Yeah, it might as well be a messenger bag. because you're pretty much going to have a tablet.
Yeah, I love it.
You're going to have an iPad mini.
With 5G.
Yes.
So, all right, well, moving on. Apple has acquired an AI startup. I think it's Vilinx to improve Siri. They paid $50 million for the company, but the company has a tool that catalogs raw video to make it searchable, providing metadata for video, text, and images. It also processes video and then provides relevant content tags. It's also including an AI-powered recommendation platform that also offers tools to see trending topics on websites and social media. Apple could potentially use the Vilinx technology to bolster Siri and other AI-based software in Apple devices, such as Photos. Anything that makes Siri better, I'm all for. 50 million, done. Do it.
I do feel like Siri's a little better, but a little quirky in some ways still.
Yeah.
This is just a little, I want to mention a little pet peeve of mine, but previously I would ask the weather and it would just show me that long kind of list of like the weather throughout the day. It doesn't do that anymore. You have to be so specific now.
You have to say that you want to know the weather for the whole day.
Yes, pretty much. Which I don't know. I guess some people might like it that way. But yeah, if you just ask it the weather, it'll just show you what the current temperature is and that's it. I used to like having the whole kind of rundown, but now I have to be specific with my wording. But at any rate, it will be a plus if Siri just keeps getting smarter. I do feel like it's better than it was. But especially if they're going to, do or try to sell more HomePods with the HomePod Mini coming out.
Yeah.
It is time. I mean, they really should have always kept up on Siri because basically Google and Amazon just ate their lunch.
They did. Yeah. The Google Assistant is really good.
Yeah.
So a lot of it too is that contextual, like analyzing and being able to respond to answers. That's kind of the area that I feel like Apple is still lagging a little bit. But if they're able to, acquire this company and at least in videos and text and images, be able to get metadata off of that, then there's going to be improved functionality with Siri. And they might be able to leverage that into, other ways, other areas too. So interesting to see.
Well, moving on. So Apple warns of MagSafe charger may damage leather iPhone cases. On a page on Apple's support site, it provides instructions for getting the best charge, including cleaning the charging pad of debris and using a 20-watt or greater power adapter for the fastest charging. But it also warns of 3 potential issues: that your iPhone or the charger could get too hot, that placing credit cards or items with RFID chips in between the phone and the charger could damage them, and that the charger could leave circular marks on leather iPhone cases. The charger may also damage Apple's silicone cases. A photo shared with Mac Rumors shows a faint but clearly visible circular mark or marks on the case. This is interesting. I guess only time will tell as people use these, wallet cases and stuff. I've watched a lot of iPhone 12 videos, like maybe too many, but a lot of people were putting that little credit card wallet, that magnetic one on the back.
Yeah.
And noticing that it's not very strong. So be careful.
Yeah, it just pops off. That would be a problem.
Yes, be very careful right now. I'm very interested, though, in seeing what other MagSafe items come out, like third-party products.
I think that's where there's going to be a lot of power. We're going to see a lot of innovation as people get clever about how to make cool accessories for it. It is concerning that it is causing issues with other ones. It starts to make sense to me. I think it's less from like the power coming through that's impacting the cases, and more from the fact that when you have 2 pieces of material being sandwiched together, and then the magnet is always going to automatically place itself perfectly aligned. That's causing friction, right? And it's always going to end up aligning in the right way. But over time, that's going to make like a friction burn into it. I bet you anything that's what's happening.
It's see, I personally, in regards to these accessories, I'm definitely going to wait. What I would be interested in is a third-party like car phone holder that would be able to use that magnet. I've seen a video where someone tried that already and the magnet's not really strong enough. But I'm thinking if someone made, obviously you can't change the magnet in the phone, but the other magnet, if you made it really strong, maybe it would work really well.
I thought when they announced the iPhone 12, they showed in the videos Belkin had a car mount that was magnetic and it like attached to the air vents. So I'm expecting there to be one soon. I remember seeing something like that. And it's supposed to charge as well, which would be good.
I don't think I would need the charger, but I would definitely be interested in another holder. I used to have one that was magnetic, car phone holder that was magnetic, but you had to put a magnet in the case, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would be cool not to have that and have it work really well. Like you said, I think there'll be a big market for this. I think a lot of third-party manufacturers will make some really good creative products that will take advantage of that MagSafe magnet charger.
But so you've been kind of hinting about it, but so tell me about the your impressions for the iPhone 12.
Yes, I was just going to say we'll talk about that. So this was a little different for me this year. I usually try to get the top of the line phone, and I had a lot of issues with my 11 Pro. Some of it may have been my fault in downloading the software, but regardless, even when I got the software kind of worked out, it still was just okay. Didn't work perfect. So I just decided that maybe I don't need the Pro this time. A lot of reasons too. Last year was quite different for the entire world. I don't feel like I'm outside as much taking photos in general. So decided to skip the top of the line this year. So I purchased the regular iPhone 12. We'll go over a few things about it that have changed since my last phone. Well, the size of it, I love it. It is actually smaller. So this is a 6.1 inch screen. My previous iPhone 11 Pro Max was a 6.4 inch screen, which was even hard to put in my motorcycle jackets.
Granted, those aren't that big, but
yeah, but it made things a little weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
This one, it just feels perfect in the hands. I guess it's because of the square sides too. They're flat on the sides instead of rounded. It just feels really easy in your hands. I also do swipe typing quite a bit, and it was very tough on the Pro Max because if you're using just your thumb, you're kind of having to stretch a lot.
Yeah, to get to that far side.
With this phone, it's just super easy. So the speed is a lot faster than my 11 Pro Max. I guess some of it may be the A14 chip that makes it faster. Also, the 5G, from what I can tell, seems pretty fast. I haven't done any speed tests, as in like using a speed test app or something like that. But my tests have been just kind of real world usage in compared to my old phone. And for example, even today on lunch break, I was trying to read Apple News. Couldn't really load on the Wi-Fi at work. Our Wi-Fi at work isn't the best. And plus there's going to be just places inside your home or a place of business where the Wi-Fi doesn't quite reach, right? So I'm right next to a window and I know that there's a 5G tower a block or two away. And so I switched on the 5G and bam, just everything loaded instantly. And in comparison to my old phone, when I would switch from Wi-Fi to LTE, it still wouldn't connect that well. Now, I may have had issues with connectivity with that phone in general. So it's kind of hard to tell, but I do know that the 5G is definitely pretty fast. I also tried it out in another city, Toluca Lake, California, and it was pretty darn fast. And I just went through different websites that I have saved and just kept loading each one. And it's pretty darn fast.
I think it's pertinent to just announce too that you are using the T-Mobile 5G. So it's not
Yes.
even like that crazy Verizon 5G that we've been seeing where it's
Yes.
incredibly blazing fast, but literally if you turn the wrong angle, you lose it. This is a more reliable 5G, right? As you're able to go about.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I heard actually today I saw an article that said that T-Mobile just has 5G going in 200 more cities as of today.
Oh, wow.
Personally, in my opinion, I would rather see availability than just speed.
Yeah.
In other words, those, if you've seen any videos, and I know I'm repeating myself again, but I've watched a lot of iPhone 12 videos. If you see those videos where they're using the Verizon super blazing fast 5G, they literally turn their body and then they can't get that same 5G.
Mm-hmm.
So this 5G, it's kind of the medium speed, I guess. So it's not incredibly faster than LTE, but it seems to be pretty reliable and available, at least for us T-Mobile users. So, and regarding 5G, I think it was on the last episode I mentioned, I hope they have like a button where you can turn it on and off in the iPhone, and they do. So,
cool.
In settings under cellular, there's actually a 5G on button, 5G auto, and just LTE. So that's exactly what I hoped for. So if you didn't even want to use the 5G auto, like I was saying on the last episode, if you're maybe just driving across the country or whatever, and you don't want it to constantly search for even 5G, you're cool with LTE, you can just switch that on, which is very cool. And then they actually have another, few other features that are handy that I didn't expect, which is allow more data on 5G or a standard mode or a low data mode. So there's quite a few options, which I think is really, really cool.
That's interesting. I wonder, I guess if you're paying by the bit, then having a low data mode would be good.
Also, if you were, let's say, driving across the country or, whatever on a long drive and you didn't have a charger with you, 5G eats up more of your battery. So maybe you want to just switch to LTE. And if you're just maybe not running a Maps app or, just streaming music, which would probably be a little bit lighter than a Maps app going, you might want to switch on LTE, which is cool. At least the option's in there with plenty of different options.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, and I had a few issues that were just sort of odd when I was transferring from my 11 Pro Max to this 12. When I was setting it up, it gives you two options where you can transfer data or you could use Wi-Fi. And for some reason, when it just tried to transfer you can transfer data over Wi-Fi or you can use your iCloud backup. That's what I meant to say. So when I tried to do the data over Wi-Fi, it wouldn't do it. It said there was not enough room on my phone. And I was like,
weird.
Wait. Yeah, which was weird because I had already went into my Pro Max, deleted a bunch of apps. So I think I was sitting at 100 gigabytes. So well under the 128. So I didn't mention that. I purchased the iPhone 12 and 128 gigabytes of storage. So I knew there was enough storage. I was like, okay, that's weird. So I just did the iCloud backup instead, and that worked fine. It actually backed up my old phone real quick, and then it just transferred all the data to the new phone. And then the only other weird thing was I got an alert on my watch that said, do you want to have this watch, sync with your new iPhone and be attached to that iPhone? I said, yes. So I went to bed wearing the watch. The watch was at about 52%. I wear it to sleep. When I woke up, the watch was at 0%. It was, yes. And I was like, what the heck's going on here? So somehow it didn't transfer over all of my settings from the watch app because there's a button in there where you could automatically install apps. And I have that turned off, but somehow it got turned on. So I noticed that morning I wanted to go out for a run. I look at all my apps. I'm like, oh my God, every app is on here. Great. So that's why the battery died. It was hard at work during the night, installing every single app that it could.
Jeez.
Yeah, very weird. So little inconvenient, but not the end of the world. Another odd thing, just kind of weird, is that when I put my phone, the iPhone 12, in my back pocket, when I pull it out, it's got a lot of dust on it and a little bit of lint. For some reason, it seems to attract a lot of dust, which is, of course, not a huge deal, but just sort of odd. And I saw some YouTubers that have pointed this out as well, because I've had iPhones since the 3GS, and none of them have collected dust.
I have a theory. I think it's the magnet.
That's what I was thinking as well. That's the only thing that I can, would make sense. And even though the magnet's on the other side, it's still going to have some kind of a pull on the face of the phone.
Yeah, it's got a full electromagnetic field that's going around it, so it might be attracting magnetized particulates.
Yeah, and we'll see when I install the screen cover, we'll see if it kind of stops that a little bit. Like I said, it's not a huge deal. It just, was something odd that I noticed. I'm like, I've never had that happen on any of my iPhones.
Here's what you got to do. You got to put on some socks and go into your bedroom and then run your socks across your carpet, build up a lot of static charge, and then touch your phone.
Yeah.
Get that little shock and then watch all the lint and dust just boom, fall off.
And you had a few questions. One of them I think I already answered about the speed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the speed does seem pretty fast. I mean, I'm very happy with it because I think I've mentioned on previous episode, while I'm at work now, I'm at work 5 days a week. I just want my phone to play audio and just have it not cut in and out. And it's pretty much been that way. I've only had trouble with one radio app, but it actually might be that
app.
Whoever made the app, because Apple Music One radio seems to play fine and not cut out. So I've been very happy. It's been good. I actually love the phone too.
That's good.
I really like it. It feels simpler in a way to me. And I love the size. It's like the perfect size.
Have you had any other early adopter pains or bugs? You think people should wait to upgrade?
Well, I haven't had any pains. I think it's been really great. I would say, obviously, if you like to upgrade all the time, it's a great phone to upgrade to. If you are not that type of person, if your phone is 2 or 3 years old, it's probably still okay. I don't know. Maybe 3 years might be pushing it.
Yeah, and then you're like, what a 7S or an 8? Yeah.
Well, the 10 too. There were.
Oh, no, that's true. 10S, and
yeah, there was a 10. So
I forgot there was an S in there.
You might be okay. The thing that's good though is if you get this phone, it's pretty future proofed. It's got 5G now. That's actually one reason to upgrade. Now, 5G isn't a huge big deal, but if you're someone who keeps your phone for a while, but then passes it down to a kid or a family member, then this phone is great because it's very future proofed, as where your old, any older phones don't have the 5G. And 5G is going to be here to stay until 6G. So
it sounds like what you're saying is if you weren't planning on upgrading and your phone is within a few years old, you're not missing much. You're still good. But if you are in the market to get a new phone, that you would recommend getting the 12 as opposed to jumping on a cheaper 11 or a 10S or something because of the future proofing with the 5G?
Yes, absolutely. For sure.
Cool. That makes a lot of sense too. Yeah. I think we're going to see some like fire sales happening on 10Ss and 11s within this next year. But that's something to consider that, if you're interested in 5G at all, you're going to be behind the curve in that regard. What about battery life? How's it been going? I heard, 5G could have that effect could have negative impacts. Have you had any feelings?
No. I still use Wi-Fi a lot, but the battery life so far has been good. Now, I'm still in that period because I got it, less than a week ago at the time of this recording. So I'm still in that stage where the battery is probably not really conditioned and hasn't been put through my everyday uses, but it's still been good. I've been left with probably 20 to 30% at the end of the day.
That's not bad. That's about average.
Maybe one of these days I'll just switch on the 5G and leave it on and see what happens all day.
Yeah, while you're at home, you're not planning on going anywhere. That might be interesting to see if by like 1 or 2 o'clock, if you're at that 20% mark just from the 5G.
Yeah, I could even try it at work. I have a charger at work.
There you go. What about just overall data signal strength? Like, do you feel like you're getting more bars or less bars in places that you were before?
It's really hard to say. I mean, what I mentioned earlier about being at work and switching off the Wi-Fi when I was upstairs.
Mm.
On Wi-Fi, I was getting like 2 bars. And then once I switched on the 5G in that location, it was like, what is
Blazing
it, 5
fast.
bars? Yeah, it was all the bars. So, yeah, it was blazing fast. But that could vary because I also noticed that T-Mobile claimed that I would get 5G penetrating through the building, which I think they just meant the front, because where I usually work is actually towards the back, and I don't really get 5G there. So, which is
different materials for the building.
Yeah. I mean, that's really always been the case, whether it's 5G or not. Like, you could be in a big store like Target, and if you're in the back and you have just an LTE phone, you might lose your connection altogether in the back.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, not obviously, but the building I work at is an industrial building, so it's going to be made different than a house would too. Usually stronger materials, more metal, stuff like that. Same with a Target, something like that. Yeah, I mean, the signal strength has been really good. Definitely hasn't been an issue.
What about, so you went from going from the Pro to the Standard. Do you miss having that third camera?
No, I didn't use it too much. So I'm not missing it. The optical zoom, I think, still on the new Pro, isn't it just 2 times or is it 3 or 4 now? I should know this, but at any rate, I didn't use it that often. And the digital zoom has been fine. And, honestly, when I used to use the zoom, it would be outdoors. And sometimes it might be like a bird in a tree. Well, you have to zoom in so much, you end up using digital zoom anyways.
Okay.
Because 2 times optical zoom isn't going to get you close enough to that bird. So,
no, that's fair.
Yeah, I don't miss it. And regarding the camera too, is like, man, this camera is amazing. I've done some testing with video. I have it set on the Dolby video, but the quality of this camera is fantastic. I don't feel like I've lost anything from the Pro.
Nice.
And I've seen a lot of articles, videos where people compare, and they're so similar. Some people are saying that the 12 is actually a little bit more crisp than even the 11 Pro.
Interesting. Wow.
So,
yeah, I think the big discrepancy will come between the Max, Pro Max, and the Standard 12. But the Standard 12, I mean, everything that I've seen on it looks like it's been really good. So it's good to hear that you're enjoying it as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What about the front camera? Have you done like FaceTime or taken any selfies?
Done some FaceTime. It's good. Seems real clear.
I can attest right now that, it's clear.
Yeah, and we FaceTimed yesterday, and it looks real clear, right? Looks pretty light, right?
Yeah.
And I don't have a lot of lighting in front of me.
Yeah, you look like you're in a well-lit room.
Yeah, and I tested some selfies as well. I did them outdoors near like kind of like a bush, but it seemed to do really well. And what I was looking for is those, I don't know what the technical name for it is, but it's like where it's not really catching the subject matter correctly, and maybe like part of an ear will be missing.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It seemed to do really well. So I'm very happy with it.
That's
Camera's good. Yeah.
Sometimes there's like a distortion that happens with the front-facing cameras. Have you noticed anything like that? Is it the same as it was before? Or?
I haven't noticed anything. I haven't done extensive testing, but I haven't noticed anything. It seems really good.
So this new display is also supposed to be brighter. Do you have any thoughts on that? Does it get too bright?
Well, this one, the 12, is actually not as bright as the Pro model.
Okay.
Yeah, but this screen is brighter than the 11 because the 11 had the LCD screen.
Right.
Yeah. So it's bright enough. I mean, one day if we ever can be in person again, and you have your phone, your iPhone 12 Pro Max.
Yep.
We'll have to compare the brightness all the way up, but
back it in on a truck.
Yeah. Have it on a robot arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's plenty bright. I have mine set to that auto brightness, where it adjusts according to the lighting in the room or outdoors or whatever. Outdoors would be the test case, and it seems way plenty bright. I mean, no issues whatsoever.
That's good.
At all outdoors. So obviously indoors shouldn't be an issue. So
what about, with the new form factor, the bevels are a tad smaller. Have you had any accidental hits or mistypes while you're just holding it?
No. In fact, it seems better for me. Like I said too, the swipe typing was an issue on my 11 Pro Max. So this one actually makes it easier.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's been good.
And with those hard edges, how does it feel, in hand?
It is great. It's a little, it's very reminiscent of the 5S. And I know the 5S and the 4 and the 4S all had that squared edge to it. But this one, I'm saying it's more like the 5S because the 5S is when the phone got taller. So when I first got it, I started reaching for the top button to shut it off, like on a 5S.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because this phone just felt so much smaller initially to the Pro Max, the 11 Pro Max. Yeah, I started to reach for the top button. And apparently I'm not the only one. I saw a YouTube video where the guy did the same thing. So, but I love the way it feels. It just feels a little, in some ways it's odd just because it's not a design change. It's like a design rehash.
I think it was the 5S that was a little slippery in hand. Do you feel like it's like sliding out of your hand?
Well, I haven't really tested it without a case.
Okay. That'll change things. Yeah.
Yeah. I've ran a case since I got it. But yeah, most people though, like in the many YouTube videos that I've watched, say that it feels less slippery.
Okay, that's good.
This form factor. So, and they say that this the 12 feels less slippery than the 12 Pro.
Oh, interesting, because of the matte finish. And then you mentioned that you have a screen protector that you haven't put on yet, but you're going to put on it. So that'll be interesting. I'm curious how that might change, the display, if it'll cause if it'll feel different when you're using it. But I guess that depends on the type you get. Do you get the hard glass one?
I do.
Yeah,
I do. And just to be a little nitpicky, but a lot of those screen protectors, they have the cutout for the notch. Don't like that at all. I always get the one that has just the cutout for the speaker.
Oh.
So that way it actually looks identical.
Yeah.
So that's what I get.
That's a good point. I'm looking at mine right now. It has a little notch cut out. It just accentuates the notch.
Yeah. And it can get pulled up. I think, didn't you mention yours got pulled up on the side a little bit? But you don't run a case too, which could have something to do with that.
I get a bubble in the corner, but it's not up on the edge. It's just in that corner. I get a bubble that comes up. It's strange.
Interesting. I was going to say, though, if I did get a screen cover with the notch cut out, I would still maybe get dust in there. So, because I'm hoping that the screen cover will cut back on the dust.
Oh, yeah.
But
that's like this one doesn't, the 11 Pro that I'm running, doesn't get a lot of dust or anything, but occasionally I do get some pocket lint or something in the speaker. You gotta get a fingernail in there. So I could see that happening probably a little bit more. Interesting. What color did you get?
I got black. I know. Boring to some people, but it looks really slick. Some people really like it, and I like it. And also, I just don't I'm not so concerned about the color
Hmm.
too much anymore. I do run a clear case, but most of the time it's just sitting somewhere or you have it in your pocket. And I couldn't commit to that blue. I think the blue looks better on the 12 Pro.
Hmm.
The 12, it's kind of like a cobalt blue, which is not really my thing.
Mm.
And that was too much to commit to, even for a year if I upgrade every year.
Yeah.
And then some of the other colors, like the product red, does not look like the previous product reds. It's definitely got a much of a orange tint to it.
Kind
So
of a hot red. Interesting.
yeah, it's very, it kind of, yeah, I think it threw people for a loop. They were expecting the regular product red and they were like, what is this?
It's a orange.
Yeah. And then the mint green is really cool too, but I don't think it was for me.
Yeah, I could see that. I like the mint green, but not for myself either. What about with your AirPods? Have you had any connectivity issues either with the Pros or your old ones?
Here and there, but that kind of issue, it's hard to tell if it's the phone or the actual AirPods sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I think you and I have both had issues with our AirPods Pros, not necessarily connectivity, but running into like distortion, stuff like that. But yeah, little issues here and there, but not too much. Seems to be pretty good.
That's good.
Knock on wood.
What about call quality and speaker sound? They sound any
Call
different
quality?
or better than the 11 Pro?
Who makes phone calls?
It's true.
Just kidding. No, not at all. I think they've had that nailed for years, Actually, because it seems like even since that 3GS, I can't attest to any iPhone before that, but the call quality's always been good.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have a good speaker, both, the speaker that goes to your ear and the one that's, and the microphone. Sorry.
I feel like the only time I've actually ever really noticed the call quality was different was when I changed carriers. Remember going from AT&T to T-Mobile, and it all of a sudden sounded like we were like super, super clear, which was strange.
Yeah.
Like we were almost in like a echoey room, versus when it was an AT&T, it was kind of like we were talking through a muffled mask a little bit. I don't know. It was a strange thing, but interesting.
Yeah. And then last thing related to just any audio quality is the speakers on the bottom. To me, they sound slightly different than my 11 Pro and just a little bit tinnier. Now, personally, I don't think you would be listening to a lot of music on those type of speakers. Maybe, I don't know, maybe if it's something really old and didn't sound good anyways, maybe, but listening to podcasts, stuff like that on that speaker, when someone is talking and there's a lot of S's, they kind of seem a little tinnier. Those S's really accentuate and come out a little bit more, but it's ever so slight, but not an issue. And the speakers are still really loud. So
I was going to say, not a lot of people may listen to music on the speakers, but what we've noticed is that the 11 Pro anyways, like it's so loud that we've used it at parties and stuff or little gatherings just to have it as like background music, instead of having like a Bluetooth thing, just impromptu. So I am curious. I mean, eventually it may get to the point where you don't need a Bluetooth speaker if these get loud and good enough.
Well, yeah, if they can manipulate sound enough through those little speakers, that would be really cool. But it would still be pretty tough, But these are definitely loud. If that's your concern, they're still really loud.
That's good.
So, yeah, I've been happy with it. Just like I said, like slightly tinnier, but not really an issue.
Well, I am super duper jealous because I still have to wait a few more days before I can order mine. But I'm glad you're excited about yours and happy with it. I'm excited for mine when it comes.
Yeah, I'm very happy with it. And you never know, maybe next year, maybe I'll go for the Pro again. We'll see. We'll see where life takes us, really.
Yeah.
I would like to be out using a camera more, but it's just not really happening probably for anyone too much. So.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, why don't we move on? We have a few things in the For Your Entertainment section. So I dropped this one in here. I don't know if you were aware, but Apple launched a live stream of music videos. So very much like the old MTV when they used
Yeah,
to play music videos 24 hours a day. Well, Apple just did it. Again, this launched, I think, a week ago from this recording. So kind of interesting. I
yeah.
I haven't. Go ahead.
I just say I didn't see Apple reviving MTV. That one came out of nowhere, but I'm here for it. That's cool.
Yeah, I actually need to pay attention to it a little more. I don't really check it enough because I wouldn't mind just kind of popping in there to see what's on.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see where they go with it too. Hopefully, they don't go the whole MTV route where it's music videos now, and all of a sudden it turns into just TV shows. So hopefully it stays. I would love to see like concerts that you can't see anywhere else. Maybe specials. They already did a Bruce Springsteen all day special. He had a new album coming out, so they did a all day Bruce Springsteen.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean that's cool. If you're a fan, and apparently, I guess maybe you can confirm it at a later date, but I don't think you have to be a member to watch this. Yeah, you'll have to check for us at some point.
Yes, it's also available on the Apple TV app.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so I think it is free to anyone, but it's kind of cool. We'll see where they go with it. Yeah, and it's available almost anywhere. So on the Apple TV, it's in the Apple Music app. So one more thing in the For Your Entertainment section here, and Apple has shared a new, I guess, commercial, but it's make movies like the movies with the iPhone 12 Pro. Pretty cool though. Definitely worth watching. They have this iPhone 12 Pro up on all kinds of jigs and holders and but it makes some pretty darn cool video. So in fact, I think you should buy some of that gear for your 12 Pro. You should buy it now so you're ready to make some movies.
For my time-lapse Lego builds.
Yes. From all different angles,
Especially
maybe have
lighting.
a drone flying around while you're doing it.
Yeah, now you're talking. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So buy a drone too. Well, why don't we move on to our picks or tips? Let's see. I think I went first last time. Why don't you go first?
All right. So I have two little things. The first is a tip. And this is just something I noticed that I was getting some strange notifications on my Apple Watch. Like I typically have notifications turned off. I only want things that are notifications of like an actual instance happening. So your package is delivered, or you got a text message, or something has happened, as opposed to just like the random push notifications, like don't forget to buy pizza, from Domino's. But I was getting a lot of those, and I couldn't figure out how to turn them off. And I was checking the Apple Watch app. And then I remembered those are things you have to actually turn off in the apps themselves. So my tip is if you're getting those pesky kinds of notifications, but maybe you don't want to disable all notifications from that app. A lot of times if you go into the app itself and check the preferences, you can turn off like marketing and promotional notifications and still be able to get through those other ones. So like, for example, I can still get pizza tracking now through Domino's, but I also don't get the ads anymore for the, buy two, get one free deals or whatever is going on. So that's a quick tip. And then
Cool.
my pick.
Wait, let me mention something about that too. So if I'm not mistaken, when you get a new Apple Watch, say it's your first Apple Watch, and you just set it up from scratch, I believe all notifications are turned on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure.
It's obnoxious.
Yeah, which it seems like it should be maybe the other way around, Apple.
Yeah.
So if you don't like to be just completely bombarded with notifications on your Apple Watch, you actually have to go in there and check. and turn each one off individually because it just turns them all on by default.
But that's the issue, is that the controls within the Apple Watch app, it's really more of a binary, like get any notifications or don't get any notifications from that particular app. But you may want certain notifications from an app and other ones not. And if you want to make that distinction, you go into that application, and typically through your phone too, like go into the phone app version and turn it off. It's kind of a pain in the butt. But just as a note to go do that. So like eBay was one of the ones that actually was annoying me. It's like, yeah, don't forget to buy cool Lego sets. It's like, I don't need you to remind me that, but yeah, I'll go check. And so for my wallet, I went and disabled the marketing stuff.
That's funny.
And then so my pick too is actually an app that probably a lot of people have, but others may have deleted. It's the Facebook Messenger app. They recently did a bunch of updates to it that are really cool. In particular, one of the things I'm enjoying is they added themes. So in your chats that you can have with multiple people, you can actually set up like a Halloween theme, and it's all dark, and your emojis are pumpkins, and I don't know, it's kind of fun. And they also added functionality to do like group videos. So kind of like Zoom and stuff like that. You can get that all through there. But it's a good way too, if you're into Facebook and you have a bunch of friends on there, it's an easy way to communicate with those people. So if you deleted it before because you didn't think it was worth it, maybe give it a try, give it a check. We found it as a good alternative between my family and group of friends to texting, because some people have Android devices for reasons. Yeah, group messages don't always work with them, but Facebook Messenger always works. So check it out.
Cool. And that's also available on the Apple Watch.
Yes.
It's not as robust.
Yeah, when people share things in it, like videos or pictures or whatever, you don't get that, or a post from something else. But
you don't get the little stickers either or anything, right?
But you do get messages. So if you're actually using it like as a replacement for texting or whatever, you can get the information that way. So it's cool.
And actually, it's cool on the Apple Watch because, if you use it like that, you can actually get your, notified on your Apple Watch and actually look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And then go back to the phone if you want to get more in depth. But it's handy if your phone is across the room or whatever.
Yeah, to see if somebody's just saying haha or actually asking you a question.
Yeah, actually it came in handy for me because I sold my previous Apple Watch through the Facebook Marketplace. Mm-hmm. And when people contact you through Messenger. So it was very handy on the Apple Watch actually to get those notifications and then go to my phone and actually address those notifications. So very cool. Well, my pick is a case. So it's the Renke. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. And it's the Fusion No Smudge case for iPhone 12, which would also work for the iPhone 12 Pro. And it's a translucent satin texture. So I picked this one. I know it might seem a little silly, but I picked it for a couple reasons, because on my iPhone 11 Pro Max, I also had the same brand case for a few reasons. I like the features of the case. I also like the price. So I think this one was $8.99. I try to keep it at like $10 or under. And a lot of the cases right now are $13.99, $15.99, $20.99, and they're just a clear case. And it just kind of seems like a lot of money for just a regular kind of TPU rubber, hard rubber case.
Yeah.
To me, I think $10 or under is kind of a sweet spot. So the one thing I noticed too, when I had to send back my iPhone 11 Pro Max, when I took the case off of it, the case did not discolor. It was a clear case.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it didn't seem to really discolor, which that's a common issue with clear cases, is they start turning either an amber color or like a blue.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what this one is like in a year, because this could be actually slightly different material. But the case itself is slightly bulky. So if you like a super thin case, you would maybe want something else. But I like this one because the corners, where the chamfered corners of the phone are, there's actually little relief points. So that would mean that if you drop the phone, it doesn't just, the case itself doesn't jam into the phone. There's actually a little kind of spring relief in there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then on each, like the right and left side, if you're holding the phone in portrait mode, there's like a little bit of a lip. So that protects the actual screen if you were to drop it flat.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the top and bottom, the lip is slightly taller, which is kind of cool as well.
Oh, yeah. I see that in the picture here. Interesting.
Yeah. And this one, what's cool too, because I think years ago on one of my phones, I bought a matte finish case, but the matte finish was on the outside, which makes no sense whatsoever. Because the more you use it, you're going to turn it glossy. Wherever you keep putting your fingers, over time will turn it glossy.
You wear it down, yeah.
Yeah, I had that happen. So this one, the matte finish is actually on the inside of the case. Yeah, and then the only other thing is it has, I don't know why you'd really want this, but it has little, what do you call it? Little notches in case you want to wear like a lanyard.
The lanyard holes, yes.
But I could see where people would use it. I mean, not really my thing, but I've seen people wear a phone around their neck. And it depends on the situation too. I don't know if you've ever been on a kayak, but if you've been on a kayak and you're trying to hold a phone, wow. You're going to be very afraid that it's going to go to the bottom of that lake or river or wherever you're at. So you would want to wear it around your neck. Trust me.
I think it's also for people who like want to use it like a camera, like an old point-and-shoot digital camera. You just always have it out and ready kind of thing. Yeah.
I mean, it's cool that it's there. The only downside is it'll probably let in a little bit of dust, but not a major issue. I typically kind of take off the case every few months and kind of clean it out because they all tend to get a little dusty no matter what case it is. Really like these cases, like the company. The build quality is really great for that little amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's pretty nice. Yeah, I might actually check it out. We'll see how it feels in hand. You like them thin.
For you, I don't know because, like I said in the beginning, it's not the thinnest case because there's some manufacturers that they're like, super thin, which is cool. But sometimes it's not cool when you drop your phone. So it just depends.
Doesn't do anything, yeah.
Yeah, you're like, what was this case for? I shattered my screen, or shattered the back or whatever. So, yeah, I like this. I like this company. I like the cases they make. They're not, I can also attest, okay, I bought this on Amazon. If you are a customer of Amazon and you've bought certain products, there's some companies, like obviously this is kind of a weird name, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of those weird name companies seem to come and go. This one has not. So they seem to be a reputable company that's not going anywhere.
Oh, so good. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, really like the case. So if you like running a case, then and a clear case, this is a cool one. I think they make solid color cases as well. So yeah.
Very cool.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for this episode. Stay safe, everyone. Stay healthy, and we'll be back at you in a few weeks. All right. Thanks for listening. Read all the stories we've covered and more stories on Flipboard, a link provided in the show notes. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at the Apple Watchers Podcast and on Twitter at Watchers Tweet. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcast. You can even ask your smart speaker to play the Apple Watchers Podcast. You can also listen on YouTube, a link provided in the show notes. Please subscribe and rate us wherever you listen. And thank you again for listening. Until the next episode, I hope the only complications in your life are the ones on the face of your Apple Watch.